I had a hard time. Yes, I had a hard time in that family. And there were beatings almost on a daily basis. When I was a child, I could get beatings almost every day because of bedwetting.
Praise the name of the Lord and good evening. It's that time when we bring to you the Gorgeous Woman Show. And as always, I'm excited to be your host and to share this story with, of course, not only women. I know many people get inspired. And our just basic desire is that when you listen to these stories, you can relate to somebody, can be encouraged, inspired, or you can share with somebody going through a similar situation and become their Barnabas, the son of encouragement. And today I have my guest, Pastor Ann Neema. She's graced indeed. She has quite a story of being raised by a teenage mother that probably didn't really know how to be a mother. And she's seated here to tell us more about her story. So join me as we talk to Pastor Neema.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're a pastor.
Yes,
That's
I am.
number one. Where do you pastor?
I have a ministry called Jesus Redemption Ministry.
Yes.
And we are in Kasarani, based in Mwiki. Mwiki, Kasarani.
Okay, is it
Yes.
a church or a ministry?
It is a ministry.
Ah, okay.
Exactly.
So do you meet every day? Do you meet weekly, monthly?
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, weekly.
Yeah.
Weekly.
Okay.
Weekly.
All right.
Yes.
So how long have you been a pastor?
Oh, for the last 15 years.
Awesome.
Yes, I've been pastoring and I've been doing a lot of evangelism.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So
Outdoor meetings.
yeah, well, that's nice. We'll
Yes.
get to hear more of that. But
Thank you.
tell us more where you were born, your siblings, if you have any, just your background.
Okay. I was born right here in the city of Nairobi.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and I was born of a teenage mother. My mom had come to the city, brought by her elder brother to come and join high school. And now when she was in high school, she got pregnant with me.
At what age?
At around, as I understand, age 17.
Oh,
Yes,
my,
quite young.
Yeah.
Quite young.
Yeah.
Yes. And she got pregnant with me. As a result, she had to drop out of school. And you can imagine now, maybe it had impact on her psychologically and emotionally.
Definitely.
Yes. And now the brother who had brought her for education was disappointed. And well, she allowed her to be with him in the city, and she got me. She gave birth to me.
Okay, so where were you living at that time?
Madaraka Estate.
Madaraka Estate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So
as it is narrated to me, I was a baby.
So where is your grandmother's place?
Okay, my grandmother's place is in Nyeri, Nyeri County.
Nyeri County.
Yes.
So did your mother have siblings? Or?
Yes, my mom had siblings. Oh,
the
many
brother?
of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, there were like, I think 11 of them.
So actually that's why now your uncle took the role of like bringing her over
to the city. Exactly.
Now when she comes with baggage.
Exactly now.
I know.
Yes.
That's quite a story.
Quite a story.
Yeah, is she still alive?
My mom is alive. She's right in the city.
Yes.
She has been a city girl, a city woman all through.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Did she raise you or who raised you?
She didn't raise me. After giving birth to me, of course, now the brother was disappointed. And now she was told, now you see now the results, so you cannot continue to be with us in the city. I have to transport you with the child all the way to where I got you from, in the village. And so we were transported back to the village where she had come from. And I understand as it is narrated to me, my mom stayed with me. But when I was still a baby, the situation was not good over there at her parents' place. And she had to come back to the city and she left me there.
With your grandmother?
In the hands of my sisters. She had many siblings. So my aunts brought me up, but at my grandmother's place.
That your grandmother was still around that scenario?
Exactly.
Wow.
She was there and my grandpa was there. So my grandmother did not like it, of course. So there were fights, there were those frictions. And my mom could not bear it, and she decided to run away, to come back to the city, try to get a job so that she can support herself. And she left me in the hands of her sisters. So that's how we parted ways with my mom when I was still a baby.
How old were you?
I understand I was still like maybe, I don't know, maybe less than 1 year or around 1 year.
Oh.
But I understand she loved me, but she had to leave me there.
So did you know she was your mom, or who?
I didn't know actually she was my mom. And as I continued to grow up there, I had my friends, and they had both parents, all of them had both parents, loving and caring. And they could talk of their parents. Inside me, I had that void. Oh, I don't have a mother. I don't have a father. I really wanted to have a mother and to have a father, especially a mother. So there was that gap and that cry in me. Okay. And I grew up without her love up to that age. And one day, my aunts told me, you know what? Your mom is coming to visit you in the village.
Wow.
I was so happy.
You'll hold that thought.
Yes.
Our viewer, we are just warming up to this wonderful story, to hear the side of the story from a child that was born by a teenage mother. See you after the break. Wow, so you are excited, of course, to hear your mom is coming.
I was so much excited. I was so much happy. I could not remember her. I did not know her.
So how old are you this time?
I was around going to 4 years.
Oh my.
Going to 4 years.
Never come back until then?
I cannot remember seeing my mom before then. Oh. I cannot remember seeing her. Because actually there was an introduction. The day she came, I was told, here is your mom. And I was so happy. I was very, very happy.
21-year-old.
Yes, yes, exactly. Okay. She was around that age. Yes. So one day I was just told, you know what, your mom is coming to visit you. I was so much happy because inside me there was that void, there was that cry. I really needed a mom. And I was told, your mom is coming this week. I was so happy, and well, the day came, and there was my mom. She came. I had not seen her before. Well, I could not remember her because when we parted ways, I was still a baby.
Less than a year.
Exactly. So I couldn't remember her. But now what I can remember, she was a beautiful young woman with long hair. Oh, no. Long hair, very beautiful, light-skinned, very light, not like me, I'm chocolate, light-skinned. She looked so beautiful. I admired her. But one thing I noticed, there was no connection, there was no bond. There was no bond between us.
She was not as excited to see you as you were.
Yes, I was so excited, but herself, she was just cool, not really excited. And when I was told, oh, here is your mom. Your mom has already arrived and she is here. And I was so happy, I was excited. I ran to her, but I can't remember very well. There was no that kind of excitement from her side. Yes. And well, I was happy to see her, so much happy in my heart, so much happy. And well, there were a lot of things that were happening. There were emotions in me. And immediately, when we just greeted each other, I started crying. So I started crying. I was emotional. And she had brought me a doll. And I ran away. I just went and I hid somewhere. Oh. Yes, I just went and I hid somewhere. You couldn't
process all that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I started crying. It was very emotional. So I cried and cried. And she could not understand my feelings. And she was like, leave her alone, this one. She's just foolish, leave her alone. Oh, why is she crying? She could not understand that. She'd not know the feelings in me.
What her absence had done to you?
She did not know that. So...
There's nobody who came running after you?
No, nobody. I just went somewhere all alone. I hid and I really cried. I cried. So what I remember, she had brought me a doll. I loved the doll. And she stayed with us for about 1-2 days. So all what I can remember is that there was no bonding between us. There was no bonding.
It's not like she came to see you.
Exactly. Actually, she was not even talking to me. I kept distance. I was a bit afraid of her.
Definitely.
Yes, we had not met before.
Just like a typical 4-year-old, they are afraid of mingling with people
Yes.
unless you really warm up to them.
Yes, and the way, you know, she was not very outgoing. She could talk with her siblings, her brothers, her sisters. But to me, we were not talking. So I wanted, inside me, I wanted to be so close to her. You know, this city woman. Myself, I was in the village. And she was well dressed. She was so beautiful, light complexion. And I was like, oh, now this is my mom. You mean this is my mom? So I just wanted to be close to her. But I realized there was a gap in between us. There was a gap. There was an emotional gap. Yes. So there was that distance. After about 1 or 2 days, I remember. So she came back to the city and she left me there. So for another long time, I think she came back. I cannot remember when, but she came back after that. So that was my first time I remember seeing my mom. And I continued being with my parents, with my grandparents, and together with my aunts. My aunt
so who is
there.
that auntie, like, who was fully responsible for your upbringing?
Oh, I had one motherly aunt. She was not very old, actually. She was young, but she loved me with the whole of her heart. She was called Elizabeth. So she carried me on her back all the time until today. We have a bond. We are
So
great
she
friends.
stepped up as a mom.
Exactly, though she was young. Because now,
Definitely.
when I was a baby, she was just like about 8 years. But she carried me everywhere, going to church. She was like a young mother to me. Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So after that, I can remember one day, I was again told, your mom is coming. No, before that, I was told, your mom got a baby. No, by that time, my mom, after some years, my mom got married. I think that time I was about 6 years and a half. So my mom got married and she got a baby boy. And so now she wanted to come home to her parents' place to visit and at least for us to see the baby boy. So I was again brought the news, your mom is coming to visit and your mom got a baby boy. I was so happy to have a brother, very happy. And the day came and my mom came with a little baby boy, about 6 months. The child was Jemo. His name was James. So we called him Jemo until today. So I really loved my brother. I really loved my brother. So she came and they visited for about 2 days and they came back to the city. So by that time my mom was married. She got married. Yes.
Are you going to school this time? Or
yes,
you've not joined school yet?
I joined school right there at my grandparents' place in Nyeri. That is in Nyeri. So I joined school, but after that, I used to come and visit her almost from that age when she got married and she got my brother. From that time I started visiting her right here in the city. So almost every weekend, no, not weekend, almost every holiday when we closed school, I used to come to the city. So my life was in between my grandmom's place and the city when we closed school. I used to come to the city, yes. But I realized that when I came to the city to see her, it's like I was not so much welcome. Yes, I was not so much welcome. The first time I came, I was brought by another aunt of mine, the eldest of her sisters. And it was a great feeling for me. I was so much happy,
you can imagine going to your mom,
yes, actually,
see your brother.
See my brother. Yeah, I had been born in the city, but now it was long. So I really longed to come to the city and see. I did not even know how the city looked like. And it was quite a dream. Oh, when is this day coming when I'm going to the city? I see my mom, I see my little brother, Jemo, that is James. And I was so excited and the day came and I visited her for the first time. So from there, almost every holiday, I used to come actually. So my life was like, during the holidays, I'm in the city. And these other times, I was schooling right there at my grandparents' place.
So how was the experience between your mom and your stepfather during that time that you'd visit?
My stepdad was quite good, but I'm sorry, he passed away last year in August. Now it's a whole year. Yeah, we lost him. And but I remember he was very loving to me. He had no issue with me. He was very, very loving. But with my mom, I remember the first time I visited, I came to the city. That evening, I was excited, that excitement of a child coming to the city and joining the family. And I was jumping up and down. There was a good meal prepared for us. But when we were at the table eating, I can remember my mom looked at me the way I was chewing that bone, you know. And maybe she did not like it. Exactly, yeah. I think she did not like it. And she just looked at me and she said, now what are you doing? From that time, I saw another face that I had not seen with my mom.
Like you are embarrassing her?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe she looked at me and maybe she remembered something. Maybe the man who impregnated her or something. But all what I can remember.
But you remember it was triggered by a bone that you were chewing?
Yes. And the way she just reacted, I just freezed. The joy was gone, and I started getting afraid of her. And I realized that there was a distance and a gap between me and my mom. So it's like we were not friends. Yeah. Exactly, rejected. Yes. And the one thing, I had a problem. I was bedwetting as a child, and she could not take it. So every night I did bedwet, my mom could wake up the following morning and she could beat me. I was still a very young child. So I grew up that way. Almost every holiday we closed school, I used to come to the city. So my life was in between my grandma's place. Pardon?
You'd never say no to coming to the holiday because...
Oh, I had that hunger and I wanted that thing. You know, every other child in the village, they were talking about their parents and their moms, their dads. Myself,
so
I did
wanted
not have...
to belong.
Exactly. I was looking for that motherly love. That's why I was coming. So
bedwetting would make you be spanked?
Yes. Oh, she could beat me. On daily basis. I got so much afraid of her.
And you know, beating makes bedwetting even more serious.
It wasn't the situation.
Yeah, it did.
Yes, it wasn't the situation. So it went on, and every time we closed school, because I used to school in the village, in Nyeri, at my grandparents' place. So I could come to the city, and the same thing happened. And I realized that my mom was not friendly. Maybe every time she looked at me, she saw the man that impregnated her, because I did not resemble her in a way. I did not resemble my mom, and that made her hate me. Yeah, so she used to call me names. So she nicknamed me. She could tell me how much I have too big eyes. My eyes are too big, and she used to call me names, and she could describe me and tell me the way I had big ears. They looked like a rabbit's ears. And
your mom?
Yes, and then she could tell me how ugly I was. So I grew up with that low self-esteem, knowing that I was ugly, I was rejected. Yes, and then I could be beaten on daily basis. So every time I bedwet, and I could bedwet almost every night, because again, now psychologically, I was tortured. So the bedwetting continued. But over there, when I went back to my grandmom's place, I did not want to speak the truth, because I did not want again to be denied the chance to come back over the holiday.
And of course you want to belong.
And I was looking for the mother's love. That is what I was running after. Because every other child that I was schooling with, and also my neighbors at my grandmom's place, they all had both parents, both mothers, fathers, and they could talk great about their parents. Myself, there was that void in me. So I grew up like that.
So did you ever disclose to even your stepfather, or your stepfather was not aware?
It's like he had no power over that. Yeah. Yes, because he could see how I could be beaten, and he could see the way I'm just quiet all alone, you know, a lonely, sad child when he comes in the evening after job. And he could sense something, but he had no power to say anything. And
Jemo was treated differently?
Jemo was loved. He was loved. He was so much loved. So this continued, and I went through my primary education school right in Nyeri at my grandparents' place. But now when I did my class 8 exam, I had to, my grandmother could not bear the burden anymore. So I can remember one time she talked to my aunts, and they had a small meeting, and they said, there is no way we are going to bring up this child anymore and take care of her right here in this home when the mother is enjoying life in Nairobi and she's doing well. By the way, my mom was doing well financially. The husband had a good business. They had a car, they were staying in a good house, life was good for them, they had money, but she was not chipping in the burden of my needs.
It's like you never existed.
Exactly. Only when we closed schools, I could come and join them in the city. Yes.
Whose idea was it?
Coming to the city, mostly it was my grandmom who sent me to the city because she could tell me, go to your mother so that she can buy you books, she can buy you uniform.
And bond, and of course she wanted you to bond with her.
No, I don't even think it was the issue of bonding.
Oh.
Yes, it was not the issue of bonding. But myself, I was also waiting for that chance to be told, go to your mom to the city. You know, I wanted to belong somewhere in a family. I longed so much to have a nuclear family.
Was your grandmother loving?
My grandmom was very loving, and I thank God because until today she's very loving. She really loves me. She's now 93 years, still very strong. She loves me so much. She's my great friend. Yes. So when I did my KCPE, yes, so I had to come fully now to the city, and I had to join my parents. I had to join my parents by force anyway. I can remember my aunts bringing me here. Yeah, so they brought me with all my luggages, and there was a meeting.
You relocated? I
relocated. So my mom, she was not willing to stay with me or to have me now join the other family. By that time, my mom had she had 4 other kids. Within that period, she had 4 other kids. So there was my brother, my sister who followed, another sister, and the last born who was my brother Bush. Unfortunately, Bush passed away 5 years ago. He was our last born. He was just knocked by a vehicle and suddenly he just died.
Oh, sorry for that. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Our viewer, that's the story of Pastor Neema, and we are going to return after the break. Wow, once again, Paule, for the loss of your brother. How old was he?
Thank you so much. My brother was about 28.
28?
Yes, that is about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yes. So he was just knocked by a vehicle right here in town, around the Machakos country bus roundabout. Yeah, so, and instantly he just died.
Okay.
Yes, we just lost him.
So how was your reunion with your mom? How was the stay?
Well, she was not willing to take me in. Yes, because I can remember she did not like it anyway, just to put it in short. She did not like it. But anyway, I had to join the family. So there I joined the family, now trying to bond with my siblings now. I had 2 sisters, 2 brothers, and all what I can remember is that I had a hard time. Yes, I had a hard time in that family. And there were beatings almost on a daily basis. When I was a child, I could get beatings almost every day because of bedwetting. And she did not know that I was bedwetting because of stress. Now again, joining them as a young teenager, that was around 14, 15 years. So again, the routine continued.
Were you taken to high school?
Pardon?
Are you going to high school this time?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So I did my KCPE.
No, so in this house, you're a day scholar or you're...
I was in a boarding school.
Okay.
In Thika Town, Chania High School. Yes.
So during the holidays you'd come?
Yes, during the holidays I could come. Yes, but now when I joined high school, that is the time my grandparents decided, now you are not going to carry your burden anymore. Your parents are alive, go to the city, join your mother and join your family permanently. So that is how I joined my family, my nuclear family permanently.
So how was it during the holidays?
During the holidays, it was tough for me, quite tough, because one thing I can remember, my mom was not friendly to me. She was not friendly. But I came to realize why. I think it is because I do not resemble her. So I resemble my biological dad. So every time she saw me, she saw that face of the man. And she hated me, and she really beat me up. And she just punished me. So actually when I joined the family now fully, that reminded her of the man. Yeah. Yes, and she did not like it.
So did you ever have a need to meet your biological father?
Yes, later, not then, but later.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, because of the mistreatment that I went through.
So what kind of mistreatment? Maybe break it down. Is it house chores? Is it?
Okay,
'Cause
yes,
now you're a big girl, you can fight back.
I was acting, fighting back where? My mom was tough.
Oh.
Tough. She was a tough woman. Tough. You don't play around with her. She used to beat me, and with a rolling pin. You know that hardwood rolling pin? And she could come hitting my bones and my joints everywhere. That was torture. So I was so much afraid of her. So much afraid of her. In fact, I never spent time with the whole family in the sitting room. So myself, I could do the house chores. She did not have a house help. And I could do all the work. In the kitchen, everywhere, cleaning, washing the clothes for my 4 siblings and all that. Cooking, but mostly during the evening, she could make supper for everyone. And I was even afraid to stay with them in the sitting room. Mostly, even when the whole family was together in the evening, I could take my time in the kitchen, all alone. If not in the kitchen, in a small store. And I could just stay there all alone. I was so much afraid of my mom since my childhood. She was tough.
And your siblings?
My siblings were friendly, especially 2 of them. 2 of them. There is one called Ruth. Ruth was very friendly to me. She used to come and check on me in the kitchen during my lonely moments. We had a small store somewhere, and I could just go and get a seat. I sit down there. I read my Bible. I thank God because of meeting Jesus when I was at the age of 17 years. When I was in high school, yes, I got saved. So Jesus became my best friend, and the Bible was my best friend. So when all these things were happening,
so at the same age when you were conceived, Jesus introduced himself to you.
Oh, yes.
Did you look different in school? Did anybody notice there was a problem?
Anybody who knows some psychology, they could understand. They could understand because I was a disturbed child.
And you never confided with even the school counselor?
In fact, I think the way I reacted to that, I became stubborn. I became stubborn. I became like a rioter in school. Yes. Okay. When we are told do this, I want to do the opposite. So I think it is that thing coming out of me. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I was always found in the groups of the students who are being punished, washing the corridors, slash over there, it's a punishment, wash the whole class all alone. So it was like that until when I got saved at the age of 17.
You should have been maybe in Form 2 or Form 3?
It was early Form 3. Okay. Early Form 3. And my life completely changed from then. My life completely changed. Rebellion went. I loved Christ with the whole of my heart, and that is when God called me. Because actually, when I got saved in Form 3, I started preaching to my friends. During the weekends, we could have we used to have meetings, you know, going to reach out for the lost during our own free soul winning. Yeah. And I could go out with my Bible and I could preach to my fellow students. They could get saved. I was so committed to Christ. Wow. I think I found love in him.
Definitely.
Yes, I found love in him.
So you now come back home, tell your mom you found Christ.
Yes. And at first she could not, she did not have a problem with that. Though she's a Catholic, she was a Catholic. She did not have a problem like that, but she had to watch me. So, and one time she told my aunt, who was also staying around where we were staying, and she said, oh, yeah, the girl got saved. Now I know, now I can see the fruits of salvation. Now this one really got saved. Because every week I could take my time to pray and fast for two days. Every Tuesday during the holidays, every Wednesday, those were my fasting days, prayer and fasting. I'm doing all the house chores, washing the clothes for the other kids, doing everything, cooking, cleaning the house, tidying up everywhere, but I'm still fasting.
Is the beating still continuing?
Pardon?
The beating?
Yes, the beatings continued.
At 17?
Even after. All the way until I finished school, all the way up to Form 4. And after Form 4, I could not bear it anymore. As a born-again Christian, because I was even psychologically affected. So I decided I I think it's the high time I left this house. I'm not going to take this anymore. I was so much affected psychologically. I took time to pray and to fast. And I told God, God, please get me out of this house. It's like a hell for me. I just need to go. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm leaving this house. So I took time to pray and fast. And I can remember one time there was a wedding at Deliverance Church, Isili. That is where I used to attend church. Mm-hmm. And there was a wedding for one of the choir members. And I had prayed and fasted, asking God to touch my mom just to allow me to go for that wedding, because I loved the lady.
And prayed.
Yes, I used to pray and fast a lot. Even when I was in high school, I used to pray and fast a lot. My friendship with Christ was like this, very close. So I prayed and fasted just to get permission to attend the wedding. And it was on a Saturday. And my mom told me, all right, when you finish your house chores, just go to the wedding. And I went to Deliverance Church, Isili. So I think I got late because I went back to the house at around 6:30 in the evening. And when I went back to the house, I found my mom there. She had already come from work, and she was wondering, where is this girl? And when I just entered the house, she gave me a bad beating. So she beat me, and she scratched my face on this side. I still have some small marks, and I was bleeding all over. That morning, I had felt in my heart, enough is enough of the sufferings that I'm going through in this house. And I just wanted to leave the house. Actually, I had already packed my bag, everything, my clothes, my shoes, everything I needed, it was packed. And my mom gave me that bad beating. And she told me to do something. I think she told me to prepare some cabbage or something. And she told me, I'm just coming back. I'm going to the shop. I'm just coming back and I meet you right now. So she went. And when she went, I took my bag. Enough was enough. I took my bag, put it on my back. I had my aunt who was staying upstairs. I went upstairs. I told my aunt, I'm going. I'm leaving. I did not know where I was going to. And it was almost dark. And I ran away. I did not know where I was going to. I took my bag, I went running, and I went back to the church where we had the wedding, the Deliverance Church, Isili.
And this time you're bleeding.
Yes, I was bleeding. I was bleeding.
So your auntie did not intervene?
She had no say. She was the younger sister.
Okay.
Yes. And I went, looking back. I ran with my bag on my back. And I reached a point I decided, let me look back and see if anybody's seeing me. Looking back, I saw my brother. He was coming after me. I ignored him and I ran faster. I went to Deliverance Isili. I looked confused. People are looking at me. This young girl looks confused. I was bleeding. And I had to take a step very fast. I thought if I stay here, they could come looking for me here. And I decided, let me go to another aunt of mine place. Let me go to her place. I spent the night thinking of where I'm going to go to tomorrow. And I took a vehicle to Dandora. That time it was already dark. So I took a vehicle to Dandora Estate in Nairobi. Unfortunately, I could not remember my aunt's place very well, and I got lost. So when I reached Huruma Estate, I was confused. So I saw like I was in Dandora already, and I decided to alight. It was already dark. I alighted and I started walking into the estate. I was lost, and it was at night. And I met two ladies standing somewhere. I asked them, am I lost? I wanted to go to my aunt's place in Dandora. I don't know where I am. And immediately I started speaking. I broke down, I started crying. And they realized there was a problem with this young girl. And so they wanted to hear from me. They listened to me, and I narrated the whole story. They were so kind. I've never seen them again, so we did not take contact, and I don't know. May God bless them wherever they are. And they both followed me, and they decided to take me to my aunt's place in Dandora. It was already dark, so I could remember it was somewhere, phase 1, Dandora, Dunia stage, and that is where we alighted. So I started remembering, I think this is how we go, and we get to my aunt's place. And we went, fortunately, we got to her house. It was already dark, it was at night. And they left me in my aunt's hands, and they left. So I spent the night at my aunt's place in Dandora. And the following day, it was a Sunday, I woke up, I carried my bag, I went to church.
So what
for
did
the
you
Sunday
tell your
service.
auntie?
I did not say anything.
You just left?
Yes, I just left. But I could see inside her mind, she kept on looking at me and wondering with her bag at night. And she has been beaten. She has already cried too much, and she has scars on her cheek. So what just happened? She knew my mom anyway, but she did not want to say anything or ask anything. So the following day, I left. I went for Sunday service, Deliverance Church Isili. That was my mother church. After the service, I did not know where to go. I had to make a very quick plan about what next. I decided to go to Thika town, where I had school. I had schooled in Thika town. And I had an aunt of mine there who was kind of a distant aunt. She was a teacher. She was a teacher at the school where I was in high school. So she was a teacher there. Actually, she's the one who had enrolled me in that school, Chania High School. Yes. And so I went to her place. She was born again. Actually, she contributed a lot in bringing me to the Lord. Wow. She was born again. It is her prayers that worked and brought me to Christ. So I went to her. And she welcomed me. She listened to my story. She knew about my mom. She knew about my life. And she took me in. And she told me, here, you are safe. You are home. Stay here. And so she stayed with me until I got a job. She got me a job somewhere. And I was working as a receptionist in a certain clinic. Well, it's a long story because I left her house after that. Of course, when somebody helps you, you don't stay in her house forever. Let her have her own time and help others. So I got a small house for myself. I started life there, sleeping on the floor, not having any mattress, not having anything to cover myself. Shortly, the job got lost. Oh, no. And I so much wanted to go to college. Actually, I had already enrolled in a college. I wanted to do some secretarial courses and typing. So I had started with the typing. But now the job was gone, and my college studies were terminated. I was not able even to pay rent for myself. And of course, there was no way I wanted to come back home in Nairobi. And I started moving from house to house, asking for who to accommodate me for the night. I really suffered in Thika. I really suffered. Again, my aunt had helped me enough, so I did not want to go back to my aunt's place. And I suffered until one day some two women who had accommodated me in their houses, they asked me, your mom is alive and you are suffering like this. And they asked for the number. So at my mom's business place, there was a landline number.
Wow, she was well-to-do if she had a phone.
Yeah. Yes, she was well-to-do. And so they called her and threatened her. And they told her, your child is suffering in a Thika town, and you are in the city not knowing where your child is. We are going to take you to police and we are going to take you to jail. And so she was told, can you come for your child? And she had to come. Well, I did not want to go back. I didn't want to go back, but I had to go.
Wow. We will take a break and then we are coming back. Thank you.
So coming back home, it was not easy. It was not easy at all. So I could
did she do a recap of what had happened?
No, nothing to talk about. All what she said is that she would take me to, her and with the husband would take me, with my stepfather would take me to college. And well, I was asked, what do you want to do? I wanted to do nursing since in Thika. I was working at a clinic, actually 2 different clinics. So I wanted to do nursing, but again, I was torn in between. I did not know if I wanted to become a secretary because I was already doing some secretarial studies. Work, yeah. Yes, and again, now there is nursing. So whatever would work for me, anyway, I was ready. And they decided that they would enroll me in a secretariat college.
Of course, it's easier to get one.
Exactly. But now the day never came because I was just at home taking care of the other kids and all that.
But she never beat you again?
She was beating me. Yes, she was still beating me. Yes, she was still beating me. And at some point, I felt that enough was enough. I just had to leave the house. So with my strong bond with Christ, I decided to go for prayers and seek the face of God about my life. I went to Karura Forest those days. I prayed and fasted for about 3 days, and I came back home. So when I came back home, my mom was there. And she was like, oh, so you went for prayers, and okay. So she threw me out, together with my belongings, my bag, and she threw me out. So that is how I left home permanently. Until today, I never turned back. So with my bag, I was moving from one house to another. I sleep here at a friend's place. I go to my aunt's place, like that. Actually, for a long time, for years. Until later, I got some work to do. I got a job. Remember, I did not have any course, so I could not get a well-paying job. But I got a job just right here in town, in the city. And I was able to rent a small house for myself. And right here in an estate called Landmawe. If you know Landmawe, you don't have to use fare coming to town. So you just cross to town. And actually, my first job, I was employed by a cousin of mine, my first cousin. So I became his secretary.
Wow.
Yes, and we were doing well. And that is how I began that kind of life, you know, being employed and being at least somehow stable financially. Yes. Later, I was able to do some computer studies. Yes, I wanted to. Marriage. We talk about that. Well, today I'm not married, but there is a time I got married, and it was not through the shortcut. It was a wedding. I thought God had spoken. Unfortunately, God had not spoken. I remember when I was engaged to this man, one night, I had a dream.
So this is after you now get a job and settled on your own. Now this man comes.
Settled on my own.
Yeah.
And I took time. Actually, I was not in a hurry to get married. If there is one kind of favor I had, favor to get married. Oh, brothers came. I had so many proposals. I had that favor. If I can be able to count, I think I can count all the way up to around 33. 33 brothers. They started proposing to me when I was still very young, from the age of 21. All the way, going to 30, they were still proposing. But to me, I was like,
a lot of baggage.
Yes, a lot of baggages. So I was like, I disappointed brothers. They even came to the office where I used to work with the chicken, with the chips. Others with, another one time came with a pet coat, another one with some underwear. So I had that favor. About marriage, yes. About marriage, I had no problem.
But then this one knocked you down.
Yes, no, this one now, because he was a pastor.
Yeah.
You know, all along I was a church girl, and there was a ministry in me, and I was preaching and serving Christ all along. So now when this man, we met in a pastor's fellowship right here in town, because he was a pastor, I was a pastor. I'm invited to preach in a meeting, he's also invited. And well, things happened. So I think he was the kind of a person I wanted or I was looking for. A ministry, he had a ministry, I had a ministry. You know, loving the Lord fully, myself loving the Lord fully. And I thought, wow, with this one, we are going to serve the Lord. But now I can remember when we were engaged, one night I had a dream. God speaks to me a lot through dreams and visions. A lot. And so I had a dream. And God showed me something. And I saw that I was with this man, and I could see that we are together, but I could see now again he's taken away, that is, he's taken away and we are no longer together. That was during engagement. Now, I did not understand what God was telling me. And to me, I thought that God was telling me, this man is going to die. So I engaged myself in warfare, spiritual warfare.
Against the spirit of death.
Against the spirit of death. I misinterpreted what God was telling me. And so I took the wrong route. So we went ahead and we did a glorious wedding right here in the city.
Were your parents involved? Now
yes, exactly.
Did
yeah,
she
they were
soften
there.
up?
Yes, she did. But you could say not from the heart, not from the heart, not from the heart.
Ceremonial too.
Yeah, exactly, ceremonial. So I thank God because I have my foster dad who is an American. He's called Pastor Dan Wagner. We just met as I was serving God right during one of his trips here in Nairobi. And he just decided, now you are my daughter. And he has been a good father to me. So during my wedding, he sent money to cater for everything. The last minute, because now even the man I was getting married to, he was a preacher and did not have anything, not even a single coin. Not even a single coin. I overlooked many things getting involved with this man. And well, the wedding was there, a very big wedding, Ngara. Yes, and we started dive there. And immediately, there were problems. You know, when God is not in something, please don't involve yourself in it. God wanted me before I got into it, but I did not understand. Not that I rebelled, I did not understand. So I got myself into this marriage, and there were problems right from the word go. The man was irresponsible. I tried to chip in. You know, he could tell me, no, myself, God has not called me to work. God only wants me to preach. And there's no
another generation of preachers.
Exactly, that generation now. Yeah. Yes. So, and he could tell me always now, God is telling me this, God is telling me this. Yeah, and I suffered. So I was pregnant with my child. I have one kid called Jewel. So I was pregnant with my kid Jewel. And we went through a rough time, a very, very hard time. No food in the house. I can remember I used to visit neighbors purposely, you know, pretending that I'm visiting, but all what I want is food, just to eat. And you can imagine, because but there was a problem right from the word go. Because I can remember right from the word go, I did not really love this man. And I would want to tell people, if you feel that you don't really love somebody, and you are trying to look for that love even when you pray and you are not finding it, I think it's good first to stop the plans and you consult God if it is the will of God, because really I did not love him. And
beyond love, there are other tests.
There are also other tests.
Is he responsible?
Yes,
is he established in what he wants?
Exactly. Wow. So this guy was just planless. He was just planless. Actually, even when you were getting married, he came from his parents' place in Eastlands. So he was still staying at his parents' house. So he did not have his own house. I should have looked.
But now that's where parental counsel comes in.
Yes.
You were not also mentored.
We were not mentored. So, we were not even counseled.
I know.
Yes, you know, it was just like, oh, we have prayed. I think God has led us. God, actually, he told me that God had spoken to him.
Of course.
Yes.
And you know, I was, who will challenge God.
And again, this guy, you know, I was looking for a preacher like me, so that we establish a ministry.
And it doesn't necessarily work out that way.
Exactly. That is what now I have realized.
So at what point did you part ways?
We did not take long because the marriage had a lot of problems, I suffered, and I would want to counsel somebody out there and tell you, please, unless God is leading you, don't just throw yourself into a marriage. Don't.
Was he violent?
No, he was not violent. Okay. A very quiet guy. Yeah. But he could not work, he's not providing. I tried to push him to provide, and I tried to teach him some small businesses, at least to bring food on the table, to put food on the table, because now I became expectant, like 4 months after the wedding. And himself, he was just saying, myself, God has just called me to preach and to do ministry. I'm not to work, so let us just pray and God is going to provide for our needs, miraculously like that. And I suffered.
How long did the marriage last?
About, it was all trouble, right from the word go to the day I left, for about 4 years.
4 years.
Yes, and God had to speak. Actually, finally, God had to send people to tell me, come out of this house. Because that time, we did not even have a house to stay in. We had been thrown out. We could go to this house. The brothers are the ones who were paying rent for him. Yes, and himself, he could just say, it is just a test. One day God is going to bless us.
I know.
Yes, and I persevered. I remember actually when I was pregnant with my child, I suffered hunger. I really suffered hunger. I did not even go for the clinic, prenatal clinic. Actually, I went for the checkup when I was 7 months pregnant. Yes. In fact, even going to the maternity to give birth to my kid, my brother had to chip in. He had to clear the bill together with his brothers.
So, wow,
Yes.
because of time, we will not be able to hear more. But how is your relationship with your mom now?
My relationship with my mom is good. It's very good. I forgave her. I cannot speak so much about her. I don't know. But as for me, as a born-again Christian and as a servant of God, I forgive her.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
after that,
in talking terms?
yes, we talk. And we talk. But
the connection.
the connection still, that was not there, still in childhood, is still not there.
Okay.
We try to bring it, but there's something missing. There is a link missing somewhere. But my mom is there, though she has gone through a lot also. She lost her son that she loved most, that brother of mine, Bush, Mbudia. And he was just hit by a car suddenly, and we just lost him. And the last year, in August, we lost the husband, who was my stepdad. And a lot has happened.
But your siblings, Ruth and the rest, your Jemo?
Yes, Jemo is doing well. I have my sister Shiro. I have my sister Ruth. Yeah, those are the 3 siblings we have. But I think they are all busy doing their own things. Myself, I'm also busy with the gospel. Sorry. And we meet for family meetings, and no grudge anyway. I have forgiven everybody.
Okay.
I have forgiven everybody.
Wow.
But now the sad thing, I've never been able to call anybody mom, because when I tried to call my mom at the age of 8, she stopped me so harshly. And she put fear in me. So from that time all the way, I've never been able to call somebody mom like other kids, and I still miss it. Well, I've forgiven her. We are in good terms. And I pray for her salvation. She's not yet saved, but I'm praying for her salvation.
And of course, you want to appreciate the dad who's adopted you.
Yes, but now he's no more. He passed away last year. In August, we lost him in August. But he was such a good dad to me. I cannot remember a day that he abused me or he gave me a beating. He was a cool man. Wow. I really miss his presence. So, but my mom so far is my friend. We talk, even on phone. And we talk a lot. When we come together or when we meet, you find us laughing like nothing happened. I love her so much. I love my mom.
Amen.
I love my mom. And I would not want any person to accuse her because of what she did. Please, she's a good mom.
Amen.
Yes.
Wow, that is family love. And in Gorgeous Woman, there's always that joy when you see how people are able to go through those turmoils and bad relationships and still come to a place of forgiveness and just working relationships. So from us and the Gorgeous Woman family is God bless you, bye-bye. And thank you, Pastor Neema, for sharing your story with us. Okay, you have something to say?
Yes, I think I wanted to say something. That, well, God has blessed me, that I'm in ministry, preaching the gospel, and I'm also a gospel singer.
Oh, great.
So I have my music. I think I came with my DVD. Maybe I can present to you. I have written a book. I wish I brought it. It is right there.
We'll bring it on the screen.
All right, yes. And God is doing great things. God has opened doors for me to reach the nations.
Amen.
And I have many people who love me out there in nations.
God bless you.
Yes.
Amen.
So I appreciate and I thank God.
Amen.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Amen. Now finally, bye-bye. God bless you.